Ever get that feeling like you're just one key piece of information away from really understanding something? Like when you just want the core concept without having to wade through hours of dense research.
Yeah, totally. I think we've all been there.
Well, get ready, because today we're diving headfirst into the future of AI, and it's not what you might expect. We're talking about machines that learn not by crunching mountains of data, but by minimizing surprises.
Intriguing.
Yeah, we're going to be exploring this whole idea of a system that essentially tries to be less surprised by the world as a way of learning.
Sounds a bit like how we humans learn, in a way.
Right. It's a fascinating concept. And trust me, there are going to be some genuinely surprising facts along the way.
I'm all ears.
So today's deep dive takes us into the world of IntuiCell, a startup straight out of Sweden. They're making a ton of noise in the AI world with this really fresh, biologically inspired approach to machine learning.
IntuiCell, yeah, they've been on my radar too. Their digital nervous system idea is what's really grabbing attention.
That's exactly what we're going to be unpacking today.
Awesome.
We've dug through IntuiCell's own research papers, a really thought-provoking preprint, and a whole bunch of news articles to distill the key insights for you.
Sounds like you've done your homework.
Had to, for a deep dive like this, right?
For sure.
Our mission today is pretty straightforward. We want to understand what this digital nervous system actually is, how it works, down at the fundamental level, what kind of impact it could realistically have on the world, and what the experts in the field are saying about it all.
Makes sense. So where do we start?
Well, let's start with something tangible to really bring this to life. Have you heard about Luna?
Luna. Rings a bell? Is that the?
Yeah, Luna's that commercially available robot dog. You know, the ones you see popping up everywhere these days.
Yeah, right, those. I've seen videos. Pretty cool. What about her?
Well, IntuiCell got their hands on a Luna and loaded her up with their software. And what's absolutely mind-blowing is that Luna learned to stand up completely on her own. No pre-programmed instructions, no hand-holding, just pure learning through interaction.
Wait, really? Just figured it out by itself. That's pretty impressive.
It is, right? It really highlights a huge shift in how we think about machine learning. It's not about brute forcing intelligence with massive data sets anymore. It's about letting it emerge naturally through interaction and experience.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more.
So let's back up for a second. We all know that traditional AI has accomplished some incredible things. Image recognition, instant language translation, algorithms beating grandmasters at chess, the list goes on and on. But if AI is already so advanced, why are companies like IntuiCell even bothering to look in a completely new direction? What's the catch? What are the limitations of the AI we're all familiar with?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? While those traditional AI systems and deep learning algorithms are amazing at very specific tasks where you can train them on tons and tons of labeled data, they often hit a wall when it comes to general intelligence, like, the kind of common sense reasoning and adaptability that we humans take for granted.
Give me an example.
Sure. Imagine you're trying to get your digital assistant to do something slightly out of the ordinary, something it hasn't been specifically programmed for.
Like what?
I don't know, like, hey, can you order me a pizza with extra cheese, but hold the pepperoni and make sure it's from that place with the funny name down the street?
Yeah.
Chances are it's going to fail miserably. It'll get stuck because it's never encountered that exact combination of instructions before. It doesn't know how to extrapolate or improvise.
So it lacks flexibility.
Exactly. And that lack of adaptability, that rigidity, comes from the fact that traditional AI is very data dependent. It needs to see thousands, millions, even billions of examples of something to even begin to understand it.
Okay, so IntuiCell is saying there's a better way.
That's their claim, yes. They're basically saying, hey, look at how nature does it. Living organisms are incredibly adaptable, and they learn from direct experience, not from some massive pre-programmed database.
And they're putting their money where their mouth is with this digital nervous system. So tell me, what is it exactly?
Well, it's their core technology. It's the software framework that allows machines to learn in a way that mimics how our own nervous systems work.
But it's not just another neural network, right? We hear about those all the time.
It's not. This is different. One of the key differences is the idea of decentralized learning. You see, in traditional AI, everything is processed in a single central unit, kind of like a superbrain. But IntuiCell's system is designed to be more distributed. Learning happens throughout the system in a more localized and interconnected way, just like in our own bodies.
Makes sense. I mean, think about when you touch a hot stove. You pull your hand away instantly before your brain even fully registers the pain. That's a decentralized reflex, right?
Exactly. That's your nervous system doing its thing, protecting you, without waiting for instructions from headquarters.
So Intuos is trying to replicate that kind of rapid distributed learning in machines.
Precisely. And that leads to some really interesting capabilities. For instance, IntuiCell claims that their system can enable real-time learning in real-world environments. Their machines can learn directly from their experiences without the need for extensive pre-programming, offline simulations, or mountains of labeled data.
Which brings us back to Luna. She learned to stand up simply by interacting with the world around her.
Precisely.
Yeah.
No one had to explicitly tell her how to do it. She figured it out on her own through trial and error by directly experiencing the consequences of her actions.
It's really a fascinating concept.
It is, and what's even more interesting is that IntuiCell has published a preprint paper that dives into the theoretical foundations of their approach. It's a dense read, admittedly, and some folks online have pointed out that it's pretty heavy on the biological descriptions.
I'll light read then.
Not exactly, but it does lay out their scientific rationale. And their long-term vision is nothing short of ambitious. They're talking about achieving human-level intelligence. Yeah, they even envision future versions of their system incorporating something akin to our own thalamocortex.
Remind me what that is again.
It's basically the part of our brain that integrates all the sensory information we receive and helps us build a coherent model of the world.
Oh.
IntuiCell wants their AI to be able to do the same, to process information from its environment and construct a dynamic understanding of its surroundings.
That's some next level stuff. So how does this whole learning process actually work in their system? What's the underlying principle that drives it all?
It boils down to something they call minimizing sensory signals through negative feedback control. Essentially, the system is constantly striving to reduce the amount of unexpected or novel information it's receiving. It's like it's trying to make the world as predictable as possible.
So it's not about seeking out rewards like some AI systems do.
Not exactly. It's more about reducing the feeling of surprise. Any new or unexpected sensation is treated as a signal that the system needs to adjust its behavior to minimize that sensation in the future.
Interesting. So in a way, it's learning by trying to make the world less surprising.
Precisely. It's a fundamentally different approach to learning than what we see in traditional AI, where you typically have a central error correction mechanism like backpropagation.
Right, backpropagation. That's where the AI gets feedback on its mistakes and adjusts accordingly.
Exactly. But that requires a lot of oversight, a lot of centralized control. IntuiCell's approach is more distributed, more localized. Each part of the system is responsible for minimizing its own sensory surprises.
So how did that play out with Luna learning to stand?
Well, think about it. When Luna first tried to stand up, she would have been bombarded with all sorts of new and unexpected sensations. Her balance would have been off, her joints wouldn't have been in the right positions, and so on. These sensations would have registered as surprises to her system.
So her system would be like, whoa, this is weird. I need to figure out how to make this stop.
Exactly. And through trial and error, her digital nervous system would have gradually learned to invest her motor controls in a way that minimized those surprising sensations. Eventually, she would have found a stable configuration where her sensory feedback was no longer telling her that she was about to fall over.
Makes sense. So she's not being explicitly programmed. She's just learning from experience, from interacting with the world.
Precisely. And to take this even further, IntuiCell has said they're going to bring in a dog trainer to teach Luna new tricks.
Oh, wow. So they're really leaning into this whole biological mimicry thing.
They are. It's a bold approach.
Okay, so if this technology really is as groundbreaking as it seems, where could we see it being used in the real world? What are the practical applications that could actually impact our lives?
The potential applications are pretty vast, actually. In robotics, for example, this could lead to robots that can learn to perform complex tasks in real-world environments without needing to be pre-programmed for every single scenario. Imagine a robot that could learn the layout of your house and clean it effectively, or a robot that could assist patients in a hospital setting and adapt to their individual needs.
That would be amazing.
And because this technology is designed to handle unpredictability, it would be ideal for things like space exploration, deep-sea missions, or even disaster response scenarios. Think about a Mars rover that could navigate uncharted terrain, a submarine exploring the depths of the ocean, or a robot searching for survivors in a collapsed building. These are all situations where traditional AI would struggle because of the lack of pre-existing data.
Right, they would need to be able to adapt on the fly.
Exactly. And IntuiCell's technology is all about real-time adaptation.
So what about applications closer to home? How could this impact our daily lives?
Well, imagine truly personalized digital assistants that could learn your individual preferences and habits and anticipate your needs. Or imagine smarter security systems that could adapt to new and evolving threats in real time. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
It all sounds incredibly promising. But what do the experts in the AI field actually think about IntuCell's approach? Are they buying into the hype?
Well, there's definitely a lot of excitement. Some are even calling it a paradigm shift in AI, but there's also a healthy dose of skepticism.
As there should be, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a radical departure from traditional AI. Some experts are concerned that IntuCell hasn't released enough detailed technical information about how their system actually works.
So a bit of a show me the data situation.
Exactly. And there are questions about whether this decentralized learning approach can really scale up to achieve the kind of complex reasoning and planning that we associate with human-level intelligence.
Fair enough. But they have secured a significant amount of funding, which suggests that some pretty savvy investors believe in their vision.
That's true. And the team behind IntuiCell is impressive, with a lot of experience in both AI and neuroscience.
So it's kind of a wait-and-see situation at this point.
It is, but it's definitely a company to watch. They're pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible with AI.
Okay, so let's dig a little deeper into how IntuiCell's approach differs from traditional AI. We've touched on some key points, but it's worth highlighting the main distinctions.
Sure. One of the biggest differences is the way they approach learning. Traditional AI, particularly deep learning, is all about data. You feed the system massive amounts of labeled data, and it learns to recognize patterns and make predictions. IntuiCell, on the other hand, is all about experience. Their systems learn by interacting with the world, not by passively consuming data.
This is a much more hands-on approach to learning.
Exactly, and that leads to another key difference. Adaptability. Traditional AI systems tend to be very specialized. They're good at one specific task, but if you take them outside of that domain, they struggle. IntuiCell systems, on the other hand, are designed to be much more adaptable. They can learn and adjust to new situations on the fly.
And their ultimate goal is to create a form of general intelligence, right?
Exactly. They're not just trying to build machines that can do one thing really well. They're trying to build machines that can think and learn like humans do.
That's a pretty bold vision.
Yeah.
So who are the people behind IntuiCell? Who are the masterminds behind this whole digital nervous system idea?
Well, the company was founded by a group of researchers and entrepreneurs with a shared passion for both AI and neuroscience. The CEO is Victor Luthman, and the lead researcher is Udaya Rangala. They also have a renowned neuroscientist on their team, Professor Henrik Jerntel from Lund University.
Lund University, that's in Sweden, right?
Yes, that's right. IntuiCell is a Swedish company.
And Professor Jerntel's lab is known for its cutting-edge research on the brain, isn't it?
It is. They've developed some really innovative techniques for studying how neurons communicate with each other. And that expertise is clearly informing IntuiCell's approach to AI.
So they're not just a bunch of computer scientists trying to mimic the brain. They have actual neuroscientists on their team.
Precisely. They're bringing together the best of both worlds.
That's really impressive. So looking ahead, what kind of impact could IntuiCell's technology have on the world? If they succeed in their mission, what could the future look like?
Well, if they can really deliver on their promises, the implications are huge. We could see a dramatic shift in how we design and build intelligent systems. We could see robots that are more versatile, more adaptable, and more capable of interacting with the real world in a truly meaningful way.
That would be amazing.
And it's not just about robots. We could see the rise of truly intelligent digital assistants that could understand our needs and anticipate our desires. We could see a world where AI is no longer confined to specific tasks, but can actually learn and grow alongside us.
It's both exciting and a little bit daunting to think about.
I agree. It's important that we carefully consider the potential ethical and societal implications of such powerful technology. But it's also incredibly inspiring to think about the positive impact it could have on our lives.
Absolutely. Well, we're just about out of time for today's deep dive, but before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought to ponder.
Go for it.
IntuiCell is taking inspiration from the biological world, specifically from the way our nervous systems work. But what other natural principles could we potentially leverage to create even more advanced forms of artificial intelligence?
That's a great question.
I mean, nature is full of amazing examples of intelligence and adaptability. Could we learn from the way ant colonies organize themselves, the way birds flock together, or even the way plants grow and adapt to their environment?
Those are all fascinating possibilities.
There's a whole world of inspiration out there just waiting to be explored.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, on that note, we'd like to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of IntuiCell and biologically inspired AI. It's been a truly fascinating journey, and we hope you've learned something new and thought-provoking along the way.
Thanks for having me.
And for all of you listening out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. The future of AI is in our hands, and it's up to us to shape it in a way that benefits all of humanity.
Well said.
Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time.
See you then.